Yes, I heard the story about Courtney Pearson, the homecoming queen of Ole Miss or University of Mississippi. And when I was first being trying, somebody was trying to give me the heads up about the whole thing. Uh, I was really disinterested, to tell you the honest truth, because to me there really wasn't much that anybody could say where they used the terms black and female together and make it seem as though it was something that was just really going to be absolutely shameful. But my disinterest wasn't allowed to just basically fade off into the ether. So it was pretty much explained to me that the issue with the newly elected Ole Miss homecoming queen was the fact that she was obese and a black woman. And even then, I was like, okay, and not to take anything away from the story, mind you, because of course, in our image conscious society, everything typically revolves around lookism. And the whole concept and the whole idea of homecoming queen, it runs pretty much the same way as your typical beauty pageant does. It's like get a bunch of airheaded females to parade around, look cute, smile for the camera, uh, act all prim and prissy and proper and whatever, and they're forgotten about, essentially. So, at the very least, an obese black woman being elected homecoming queen, well, she won't be so easily forgotten, at least, let's say that much. But again, I just thought it's like, well, really, what's the big issue there? It's kind of out of the norm. It's kind of alternate reality sort of a thing happening. But I really didn't care about the story. I didn't care about the concept. I didn't care about anything related to it, honestly. The only thing that I would have been concerned about if she had actually done something that would have really been a smear on the title of homecoming queen or on this image of the school or anything of that sort. But if it was nothing that was going to reach those kinds of levels, then essentially I just shrugged those sorts of things off and just let it roll. I'm not that deeply involved with things like this, but couldn't stay away from it, or rather I couldn't be kept away from it, let's put it that way. And of course, everybody's opinion out there is, what a shameful thing that this is, and oh, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, or are they just mocking us because, you put this big, fat, black-skinned woman up there, and she's just going to be a bad representation of African American women, and yada, yada, yada. So, as I typically do in situations like this, I kind of want a little bit deeper story. I want a little bit more substance as to what's going on and who the players are and why we really should be making an issue out of it, or if we should even be making an issue out of it. And I'm going to come down on the side of less popular in this one because, again, take into consideration the fact that I don't care about these sorts of things anyway, so it's not anything that I can really get myself wrapped up into or have any sort of an emotional reaction toward anything. Again, as I said, I know good and well that homecoming queen pageants are typically popularity contests, and they're typically about, and usually, like somebody who's like a hyper airhead sort of a type. And of course, we're talking usually a white girl, and they got this bubbly personality, and they're like a size 1.5 and all this other mess. And I'm like, okay, so this kind of bucks the system, it breaks the trend, but is it really that big of an issue? Sure, it throws people off. I'm sure it does. It throws me off a little bit. But again, as I said, we're talking homecoming queen. We're not talking about Miss Universe pageant, which are essentially the same sorts of things, but I digress. So, in trying to find out a little bit about Miss Courtney's situation and how she came to be elected as homecoming queen, and the fact that she would even run, I think says a whole lot more about her character than it does about anything else. Simply because of the fact is that you have to know that she's well aware of what's typically considered homecoming queen material as far as the physique goes. So you have to honestly assume that she knew, like from square one, she knew she was bucking the system and she was fighting against the odds, simply based on her size. But as I continued to delve a little bit deeper into this story, I actually decided to listen not only to this woman herself, but also to the story behind why this seems to be an important story with this whole situation with University of Mississippi. And I gotta tell you, I'm right there with her. I have no diss or no qualms against her carrying this title of a homecoming queen. I don't think it's a joke. I don't think that it's an embarrassment. In fact, I honestly do believe that she gives not only black women, but a school such as Ole Miss, a whole hell of a lot of credit, which is really deserved. And to kind of help push that point along, I'm going to play back a brief snippet from one of the news broadcasts where it kind of explained a little bit about her journey into this thing about wanting to run as a candidate for homecoming queen, and what it symbolized and signified both to the school and also to herself, and how that translates over positively to not just black people but black women especially, and of course the positive impact that it should have on race relations. Here's the snippet.
We do have a typical tradition that that person is usually Greek, that person is usually white, but I think we're kind of going away from that and really trying to look at what that person has done for the university, what they've been involved in, what their grades are looking like, things like that.
And this secondary English education major is certainly involved. Student government, university judicial chair, Ole Miss ambassadors, and freshman orientation liaison. As for being the university's first African-American homecoming queen, Pearson says it wasn't something she campaigned on, although she was very aware there'd never been one before.
And I feel like it's an inspiration for others to be like, there's nothing that can hold me back, not my race, not my Greekness or my non-Greekness, whatever it is that I want to do, I can do it. 50 years ago, I wouldn't have been allowed to even attend this university, and now the students are saying, not only do we want you to attend, we want you to represent us as a whole and go and show the world what we're really about and what we represent.
So again, taking all of these things into consideration, the fact that, okay, typically these things are what we call beauty contests or popularity pageants or whatever. Here's a situation where we said, look, we can make this position have a lot more deeper meaning to it. And let's be honest, the girl's she's not what you would consider butt ugly either. She's kind of a cute girl. Granted, she has the weight issue, and that detracts from her, and hopefully at some point maybe she'll actually take this as motivation for her, I guess, to try to do better for herself in the physique department, to really help that natural beauty that she already clearly possesses, and help that actually come a little bit further into the fore, so that not only can she feel good about herself, but also people can actually have more reason to look at her as a positive role model, and possibly motivate them to do better and to strive for excellence. So maybe something good will come out of that as well. But the fact that here's a woman who, against all odds, said that the homecoming queen pageant should be representative of something. It should be something more than just glitz and glamour and hi everybody, look at me, I'm on stage sort of a thing. But here's a woman who's actually involved with things with the school, who's actually trying to be a good representative of future alumni for the school, and she threw that out there as her qualifications, knowing damn well it's like, look, I already know that I'm not the hottest physical thing on the face of planet Earth. There's no way of denying that. The fact that she didn't mention it, I don't know if that's to her credit or to her detriment, but either way, you know that she already knew that going in. But the more important issues with her was the fact that this school has a lot of history, and a lot of it is negative, or there's a lot of negative connotation or a lot of negative association or stereotype that goes along with it. And I want to be a representative of the fact that times change, people's ideas progress, and all these things that keep us apart can actually get to a point to where they're not such major issues anymore. Not to say that they've completely gone away, because we know they haven't, but to show that we can actually strive for excellence and that we can work together and that we can be representative of something bigger, of something more important. I honestly believe that not only did she take a brave step, but she took a necessary step, and I, for one, am actually celebratory in the fact that the student body at Ole Miss were able to see beyond the issues of this woman's race, beyond the issues of her body shape and size, and to see that, hey, this is an asset to our school. This is someone who we feel can effectively represent us as a school, especially amidst all the bad press or the bad publicity that we typically get from people who really don't understand what our school is, what our school's about, what our student body is like, and etc. I will put myself out there as one of the lone voices in the wilderness who actually applaud this woman's being elected as homecoming queen of University of Mississippi. Now, if you think I'm wrong about that, you can share your insights with me. I'm more than willing to listen, but I stand on my particular interpretation here. This should be viewed as a positive thing if we can let go just long enough of the whole black women and their whole body issues sorts of arguments that we're constantly wrapped up in. And of course, it is an issue. Nobody's denying that. But in this instance, this woman is very well presentable. She's very articulate. She's someone who has some degree of respect about herself, and she's aware of her image and the image that she's projecting. And I'm sure she's fighting up against upriver in this whole sea of negative imagery and negative speculation about the typical black American woman already anyway, and she's trying to buck that trend. Clearly she's trying to buck that trend. And so in this one area she actually fails. Okay, I'm a big girl, I have the big weight issue, which is something that's so endemic of black American women that, you know, I've got this thing against me. But everything else should help to counterbalance that. And that's the way I'm looking at it. Don't crap upon this woman simply because she's what you would consider obese. That should not even be the issue. If she were obese and she had attitude and she didn't know how to present herself with any sort of decency or respect, and she had a cocky attitude or anything like that sort, then I would say, yeah, something's up. This needs to be checked out, or this needs to be criticized. But considering that the positives far outweigh the one negative, which is this young woman's weight issues, we should be commending her and applauding her for achieving this landmark decision with a historically what was at one time a very racially insensitive school in one of the most racially insensitive states of the Union. She should actually be commended for shattering another barrier and to opening the doors for more and more black people, and especially black women, to actually excel and achieve, and to put a positive face on our dire situation, and to give other young blacks, both men and especially young black women, more hope and some more positive role models to look forward to, and to give us something to strive for other than mediocrity. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I am the general, and I approve this message. End of line.